Man, I am so pumped that it's Edenton Northeastern football week.
That's kind of next week.
Wait. What, moved up to Thursday like everything else?
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
It's another edition of the NENC Sports Radio Show. This might be your pregame this week, Malcolm, if you're listening on WRVS 89.9 FM, just minutes before your team's football game, thanks to Hurricane Matthew. Schools scrambling once again in this never-ending tale of games being moved left, right, up, down. Everything moved to Thursday and away from the potential of Friday being a washout, thanks, of course, to the storm. If that's the case, you're listening for the first time, WRVS 89.9 FM, welcome. If not, you're listening through YouTube, welcome nonetheless. I'm Owen Hassel, sports editor for the Daily Advance newspaper in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. With me, as always, Malcolm Shields, Advance sports writer. And we've got on as our guest the voice of Currituck. Since I didn't pay all the bills, he's the news director for Max Radio of the Carolinas and the staff writer for the Outer Banks Voice. It's Sam Walker. Sam, when do you sleep?
Sleep when you're dead. That's the motto around here. we grab a few minutes here between a press box and the parking lot. A few minutes there, maybe once in a while, but the news watch never stops, and it seems like this year it has been nonstop for the last month, 2 months, really since school started and the sports season started. It's been wide open here.
Very wide open, thanks to the weather, of course. For more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Sam, I know you have Twitter because I see you on there constantly.
At Sam Walker OBX.
And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. We'll chat a lot more with Mr. Walker after this.
You can listen to Owen and Malcolm on YouTube. Hear your favorite shows and segments on demand with the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel.
WRVS 89.9 is your official radio station for ECSU 2016 Viking Homecoming. Get fit with the pre-homecoming fitness explosion. October 22nd, 2 p.m. at Williams Hall Gymnasium. Move your body with Zumba, mixed fit, and line dancing to your favorite music. Tickets available at Madhouse Dance Fit, 212 North Martin Luther King Drive in Elizabeth City, and the Telecommunications Building on the campus of ECSU. All proceeds to benefit training at WRVS 89.9. Vendor spaces available. Learn more at 252-621-2282. The pre-homecoming fitness explosion is brought to you in part by Madhouse Dance Fit and WRVS 89.9, your community voice.
I'm just trying to get you in the West Mood. P1 cleaner than your church shoes.
Well, first off, congrats to Marcus Cowell. Pasquotank senior tailback rushed for more than 230 yards and 4 touchdowns as the Panthers nipped Currituck 34-33. For those efforts, he was named the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's State Performer of the Week. Marcus Cowell, definitely a 4-year starter for Pasquotank. He's been breaking off runs pretty much the majority of those 4 years, Malcolm. He single-handedly saved Pasquotank last week.
You can make that argument. I mean, it was looking pretty rough there. They're up 27, I think 12, and then Currituck, to their credit, they get a little bit of momentum, get the passing game going and tie it up. They eventually take the lead, and then Marcus with the eventual game winner. When they needed those tough yardage, he was able to get it for them last week.
Sam Walker, of course, you do the PA for Currituck football. Did you like it, if nothing else, the fight by the Knights when they could have easily, I guess, given this game up at one point?
Well, one thing about Currituck this year, I don't think I've seen them really, and this has been such a disjointed schedule.
Yes.
When you think of it, that's only the second time that Currituck's played in Barco all year. and the first game almost coming over nearly a month and a half ago. They have just, they've been truly, if you want to talk about road warriors, they've been road warriors. I don't think we've ever seen them really lay down, in a game this year, and after jumping out to the 2-0 start and things really kind of snowballing really with this losing streak. That was, it was good to see them, especially against as athletic as we knew the Cal brothers are going to be coming in, and then the athletes that Pass got out there this year, to be able to keep pace with them, and at times are frustrating, especially with defense. To be able to make some stops when Curry Tuck hadn't made stops. But what hurt them that night was the two key third down, fourth down penalties, late hits out of bounds that cost Curry Tuck getting stopped. In fact, the fourth down stop that was wiped out. And the intangibles is what hurt Curry Tuck was not being able to convert an extra point that would have eventually, of course, been a tie game. Headed into that, their final possession. And Curry Tuck struggled in short yardage trying to get the 2-point conversion. But it's good to see for a team that has had to go through so much adversity as far as having to play on the road, having all these games have been rescheduled, and to still, be with a chance to win the ball in their hands with less than a minute to go. They're going to play the string out now because obviously the playoffs are, miraculous things would have to happen for Curry to qualify for the playoffs at this point just because of the way the playoff brackets work. But a good effort and to go into this week having Eatonton coming to town, ranked 6th in the state, or ranked as high as they are in the state from the poll for homecoming and having to do it on a short week now. It's going to be definitely, the effort they put into that Pasquotank game was good to see.
And flipping it over to Pasquotank, now you got a team that's 5-1, first year of Coach Chris McGee, and every time the Panthers have been doubted, other than Eatonton, no shame there, Pasquotank has answered. They've answered. And now you've got First Flight coming to Pasquotank on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember these days, man. We're all over the place with these days.
Yep.
With this schedule. And then Hertford County the following week. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, Malcolm, to say Pasquotank could be 7-1 going into Northeastern. First things first, 7-1 means a winning record no matter what. And that would only be the second time in Pasquotank history. And that's something to celebrate in itself.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you always want more. You always want a little bit more. But 7-1 would be quite the amazing feat. Can it happen?
I think absolutely. A First Flight. I mean, that's probably going to be one of the toughest games. Last year, it was a pretty close game, and it got away from in the second half. Watching Hertford County on Monday against Eatonton, they're just a completely different team. I think Pasquotank has a really good chance against the Bears in a couple weeks, but of course they got to take care of business on Thursday.
First of all, Hertford County needs to take care of some sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Last couple weeks has been not a good look for the Hertford County Bears. You got some of it on video, so it's not just us talking.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised how undisciplined that they look. When I saw them last year against Northeastern, how pretty much for the most part they were pretty sound against Eatonton. I mean, it's just not the same team that I saw last year.
And I'd like to think it doesn't go back on coaching because you just hit on it that Coach Terrence Saxby was with the team last year. Right. It's not like a new coach and an attitude. Why would there be such a change other than a couple of pieces are missing from last year? Right. And some frustration boils over when you're not doing what you should be doing, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't seem like Hertford County should be better than this.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about winning and losing. They shouldn't resort to body slamming players.
Right.
When the whistle's been blown, or in one case, going over the Curry Tuck sideline and cursing out players and coaches. Those things shouldn't happen for anybody. And that's disappointing to me. It should be disappointing to Hertford County fans. But we'll move on. Northeastern, they're talking about road warriors. Eagles are the same way. Hadn't played since week 1, just like Curry Tuck at home. went to First Flight, gave First Flight a little dose of that reality. First Flight was feeling good, 4-0 start. Well, now you got Northeastern. How's that going to go? Not so well. Nighthawks, that was their first loss, of course, 56-14 for Northeastern. I ended up going to this game because Edenton got pushed to Monday. I was going to go to Edenton. You hear that, Coach Wes Matera? I was going to an Edenton football game to cover, and then the field just happened to be too wet. I did not say that. I did not move the game to Monday. So in the last minute, I go to Kettleville Hills where I think it's going to pour down rain, ends up not doing that. Northeastern, First Flight, this was a tight game, though, first half. The score's a little deceiving. And, of course, when it came down to it, nobody on that field was going to stop Travion. So fresh water, so clean. Just when he gets moving, and he gets past one or two tacklers who aren't just trying to like hang on to his legs, he is deceptively fast for his size.
Absolutely.
And he's like a train. He's the Eddie George.
There you go.
That's you. That was you, Eddie George of the area. Just, I think 6 carries, more than 200 yards on just 6 carries.
Yeah.
I think right before halftime, Darius Walton hits that 70-yard touchdown run. That was dagger. At that point, it was really just going through the motions. JVs went in for the whole fourth quarter and scored as well.
Wow.
And very impressive showing there by Northeastern. J.R. Walker's first full game at quarterback, other than, of course, late, like I said, with the JVs. Thought he handled the ball, thought he handled the game really well. No turnovers, no interceptions, fumbles. Even on one play, had a bad snap, goes over his head. He goes over, just falls on it, doesn't try to do anything crazy. Knew he didn't have to do that. I thought that was smart. Pretty heads up for a sophomore. Again, if you're Northeastern and your other teams in the area saying, no fair, you lost your starting quarterback, that would hurt anybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just insert Duke target J.R. Walker, who's a sophomore. Let me put Travion Freshwater in the backfield, another Division I caliber kid, sophomore.
Let me throw in there fact he was invited to Clemson for the game Saturday night too.
Yes, yeah, throw that in there. You're absolutely right. I don't think they made it though.
No,
I don't know why. I would have tried to make that.
I would have, found a way to get to that game.
I would have tried to make that one. It just shows you. Sometimes it just takes interest from that one school because they think, hey, we got a little dime in the rough. Let's not tell anybody in this area. But then other schools find out quick. This is age of the internet.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult because right after Duke offered J.R. Walker, who else came knocking? East Carolina. East Carolina, hello, we're in Eastern North Carolina too. Hello. I know we look like Virginia, but we're not. You wait till Duke offers? Come on. But, Northeastern still with plenty of talent and no problem there with First Flight. Perquimans, it loses the Gates 32-19. We mentioned this could be a somewhat battle for the Coastal 10 title, although Plymouth would definitely have a lot to say about that. Now going to be tougher for Perquimans. If they wanted to win the title, they'll need some help. But now it shifts to Gates Plymouth playing in the last game of the regular season. That will probably determine that conference championship. Perquimans, though, in the same boat as Pasquotank, could have a winning season, and that hasn't happened in a while for Perquimans either. If I remember correctly, it was like 2007, 2008, something around that. So we're talking nearly 10 years for Perquimans, and that's still a reasonable goal for the Pirates. Manio bested Camden 28-7. Camden just no Brandon Underwood is once again, we can't state it enough how difficult it is for them right now. But penalties and turnovers really what Scott Jones told me, Coach Scott Jones, that hurt Camden in this game. It basically took 2 touchdowns off the board. And another one where the team was driving was at the Manio 13 and fumbled. Only scored on a kickoff return by J.R. Williams. That was it. So a lot of work for Camden, and unfortunately, this is not the week to try to. This is the week you're going to get the work.
Yeah.
Probably getting to work right now. Very difficult. But Sam, anything else stood out to you from last week's results?
Just looking back at it, I mean, Northeastern just continues to, impress. But it's Edenton. This Edenton team, I kind of feel like this is the team they were expecting last year with the talent that they had, but giving a chance for Hoggard and Hoggard, attorneys at law in Edenton, the chance to gel with the rest, moving from the football hotbed that is Richmond County to the football hotbed that is Edenton, because historically, to give them a chance to gel and get the things going over there. I think that ranking maybe might be a little, as far as the AP ranking, some would say that might be a little high, just because of the level of play. I don't want to say level of play. That's not the way we should play. Our athletes can play with these athletes smaller than the state. But for even to be getting that much respect statewide, I think it says a lot. I cannot wait for that game. If I can find a way to work our schedule, and what is that? The Edenton Northeastern game, or is that the 28th?
That would be next Friday.
Next Friday. Oh, the 20th. Oh, okay.
Yes.
That might be, we may have to make that trip. But it's definitely, everything's shaping up for that to be a monumental game. Once again, as it has become over the last few years. And it's a shame it's going away as far as the conference fighting. But hopefully the rivalry will continue throughout the realignment. But, Edenton continues to impress.
Yeah, it's a good point about this last year meaning extra because of the conference affiliation. Of course, Edenton dropping down to 1A for next year in realignment, and it'll be a lot of Edenton Plymouth when it comes to football, and then those other four schools. Really, what else can I say with it? That's how it's looking right now, and I think a lot of Edenton Tarboro Eastern playoffs, third round, regional final kind of stuff. You could be, because Wallace, Rose Hill, and James Keenan are moving up. Those would be your other tough matchups, but they're going to be in 2A. So that's the future, though. We're talking right now. Next Friday, 2 top 10 teams ranked in the state, both in northeastern North Carolina, going up against each other. Put the spotlight on this area. We got to love that. No matter if you're a Currituck guy, you're a Camden guy, Pasquotank guy. Well, maybe Pasquotank don't want to hear about it too much because it's northeastern, but you get the point.
Yep.
You get the point. It brings notoriety to the area. And that's what Edenton Northeastern has done for the last 4 or 5 years. There's always been things that happen in that game that just make you go, wow, or what? What is this? Or how could that happen? And I break it down to, I've got a really scientific answer for it. Edenton Northeastern stuff.
There you go.
One play a couple years ago at Edenton where Travis McWilliams, a very capable wide receiver for Northeastern, makes a simple 5-yard catch. He's just going out of bounds. He's getting his yards, goes out of bounds. For some reason, the ball just slips right out of his hand, and it's like it had oil on it or something. It just pops up in the air. Edenton guy is right there, and he just grabs it. So what was that? Edenton Northeastern stuff.
There you go.
Pick sixes in 2012. Edenton Northeastern stuff. Iman Bailey's long runs that happened back-to-back times, and Northeastern couldn't bring it down in a game that Northeastern was supposed to be the big favorite because Edenton was hurting with injuries. Edenton Northeastern stuff. I can keep going on. I mean, it'll be its own show. It'll be next week's show. So, but right now, we're about mid part of the year. Who would be your player of the year in the area? Sam, who would be yours?
Cool. Well, it's hard not to go with Freshwater. I mean, the numbers are there. I can't not go that way. But with what Cal did last week against Currituck, and being the numbers he's put up, so I mean, it's a race between those two right now, and maybe it gets settled in that time when they finally get to play each other. So. That's my top 2.
And I would definitely have Freshwater in the same category. I like 2-way guys. That it's just me, especially when we're talking 1A and 2A schools for something like this. Gosh, it's hard to overlook Kemon Bailey.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, the guy's got more than 1,200 yards. He's on pace for 2,000 yards.
Absolutely.
We haven't seen a season like that for a running back since, guess who, Sam?
Yeah, that would be the all-time leading rusher at Shaw University.
Marquise Grizzle, yes.
That's right.
Curry Tuck guy. And although he lives in Camden now.
Well, we'll give him that.
What happened? What happened? Just magically his hometown on Shaw website said Camden. I went, wait a minute.
Well, yeah.
What happened here? I thought he was living in.
Well, you can live in Camden County and actually be in Shawboro, which is a great. We do have that.
Yeah. I've gotten thrown off before thinking there are pieces of Shawboro that are like Camden-esque. But that's as far as, I guess that's all I can do. Otherwise, I know he lived in Currituck. Family moved to Camden after all that. So I'm not trying to stir up anything.
No, not trying to stir it.
Not trying to do that. Just making a point that Keemon Bailey in the end is going to have, could very well have not a Grizzle-like season, because good gosh, that was 3,000 yards. Think about that. No, 3,000 yards.
Is that nearly, 250 a game? 300?
Yeah, it's just something like they got the third round of the playoffs. So, and of course, in typical Shrine Bowl fashion, did not get picked to the Shrine Bowl.
No, of course not.
Of course not. I mean, only 3,000 yards in the season. Come on, I don't care who you're doing that against. I don't care if it's a whole JV schedule, for gosh sakes. 3,000 friggin' yards. But that's a whole other story. Well, we've talked about Hurricane Matthew just a little bit. Obviously, the reason why we're having to almost go on the fly about games that are happening and whatnot. And if we had live updates, we would be telling you right now, Camden's down in the Northeastern 35-0 in the second quarter.
Clock's already running.
Tough times. No, that takes 42. Takes 42. Hasn't happened yet. So, again, talked a lot about the postponements through social media and print, and we've really only focused on football, Malcolm. We have missed out on getting all the news to you.
Yeah.
We have done that. So right now I'm going to change that. And this is a list of altered schedules for other teams. First of all, Sam, I'm surprised you missed this one. The Coinjock Bay fishing team has moved its rivalry meet with crosswater foe North River from Saturday at 7 a.m. to Sunday at 2 p.m., since by then the storm should be out to sea and there'll be some good fishing.
Oh, yeah, and they won't be come flying by my house.
Right.
Trying to get from one arena to the other.
So the ceremonial coin flip, I'm glad you mentioned that, will now be held Friday at 10 a.m. at Coinjock Marina. That'll get to see who makes the first cast in this riveting matchup between the Jocks and the Unions.
Well played. I was going to say it's going to be the prime rib flip. They're not going to flip a coin. They're going to flip a prime rib.
Ooh. I like that. That's tasty.
Yeah.
More rivalry meetings being moved as we speak. The Country Store Championship clash between Layden's and Belvedere and Westover and Eatonton will now move from Friday to Monday and begin with the opening competition, who can open earlier in the morning. My money's on Layden, since those Westover guys party hard on the weekends. Might struggle moving to cut those meats on Monday.
Well, Layden's, I'll give them the edge on the sausage recipe.
Yeah, that's for sure. The game has been canceled and moved to Monday. Team will cancel the rest of its season due to lack of practice time. It'll move its games to Tuesday. People, I've said it once.
We haven't, that's one thing we haven't had. Have we had a Tuesday game this year? I mean, I think we've all lost count on the games we've had rescheduled.
No Tuesday. No Tuesday, no Wednesday.
No, we got a Wednesday. Cape Hatteras and Madam Mesquite was Wednesday. We had a Wednesday.
But do we really know that happens?
Oh, man.
Well, we'll know next week.
Yeah. We're going to know. I mean, do we have to do smoke screens?
Yeah, because the smoke signals and, the telegraph may actually work from Far Creek Store to report the score in Swan Creek.
Right. It's just, people, get it in there. Just give us a score. I mean, see, you thought you were being too positive early on. Like, look at these scores. I got them before this time and that time. I said, there's a lot of season left.
Yeah, well, and realizing, too, that they were non-conference games played against schools that may have connections to the internet. Actually, cell phone service does work. Although that's a problem in hockey. when we can attest to that. Our radio crew had to borrow Todd Parker, the Curry Tech athletic director's daughter's cell phone to do the broadcast. Because,
oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, that's right. Hereford County doesn't have AT&T.
They don't.
No.
I mean, that's an area when you go up there. I have AT&T service. I go up there, and my cell phone just does jokes with me because I can't get service. It says, "Where are you living now?" or "Are you in 1965?" I mean, at least it's making me laugh. I like that. It's going to give me some humor because otherwise I'm really upset that I can't get any cell service whatsoever.
Yeah.
In that little pocket. The rest of the state, you're probably fine.
Yep.
Right there, I don't get it.
From once you cross into the swamp at the Pasquotank gate line, you are done.
It's it. It's
That's why my son had to get up a different phone when he went to Chowan because of that.
You would think by now that, come on. Really?
And they got that big 4-lane highway out there, too. Come on.
Yeah, Murfreesboro has a belt line now.
That's right. It does have a belt line.
The Murfreesboro belt line. You got a belt line, but no cell service. You got a McDonald's, but no cell service.
Guess you can stay open.
Well, that's just saying they have McDonald's. And McDonald's has Wi-Fi.
Yes.
We've all had to use it at some point.
No, that's right. We have.
But, okay, let's go ahead and get to a break here. We'll be right back with more Northeastern North Carolina athletics.
WRVS 89.9 provides training for all students and volunteers interested in radio broadcasting. But without your donations, this radio station will go silent. Let's make a sound today. Now is a great time to give back to public radio. Make a tax-deductible donation by calling 252-335-3985 or online at www.ecsu.edu/WRVS.
This is John Wheeler, head football coach of the Curry Tech County Knights, and you're listening to NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Back here on the show, Malcolm Shields, Owen Hassel, Sam Walker, and Shimon now.
Jump on, get on me, all right.
Some members of the East Carolina band decided to kneel while playing the national anthem last Saturday before the football Pirates faced Central Florida. Okay. Being done at many sporting events around the country to call attention to social injustice, police shootings, etc. Now, an East Carolina radio affiliate has decided to not broadcast this Saturday's ECU game at South Florida. Get all these Floridas mixed up. Dubbed a Protest the Protest by company chairman CEO Jeff Androlonis, who runs Colonial Media and Entertainment and its 100.1 FM ESPN Fayetteville station. He added he fully supports the rights of the band members to protest, but that they need to understand that the U.S. Constitution's freedom of speech protections gives them freedom to speak without fear of the government, but not the right to say or do whatever they want with no repercussions. Fair enough. Here's where he misses the point. This is his quote. The band members could have quietly protested in the early morning hours before the game, but that would have required them to wake up early. So protest by hiding? Wake up early? Do you think band members just dress and get to the stadium a few minutes before kickoff? You can argue a band puts in as much work as a football team. You want to protest that one? And then he says this. They're college students, and it's about time they get an education on the concept that their actions have consequences. By taking ECU off the radio? I'm sure many of these students haven't even heard of your station, let alone listen. If they want to know about an ongoing game, they go to Twitter or some other social media, or they find an online video stream. They're not clamoring for the ESPN Fayetteville coverage. Anyway, his ignorance at the issue, it's an ugly look. This is not a violent display or disrespect towards the military. Rather, it's an action that makes us look in the mirror and remain aware of a problem in this country. But this isn't the right way. Is there really a right way when it's a topic that's dividing the nation? I'm going to bring up a few things that don't divide us. Wearing pink for breast cancer awareness will not completely stop breast cancer. even though that's the ultimate goal. But keeping it in the public consciousness forces us to do something about it. And we are doing something about that each and every day. Jerry Lewis ran a muscular dystrophy telethon for decades. One of my best friends from high school died of muscular dystrophy. So yes, all the money Lewis raised to find a cure, in the end it didn't help him live. But it helped prolong his life and many others and allowed children with this disease a chance to live a at least more normal life, to have the happiness that me and my friends we took for granted. There's a story of, and I've heard this for many moons ago, thousands of starfish washed up on the beach after a big storm. And there's a young boy occasionally throwing one back into the sea. Then another, then another. A man walked by and said, "There are tens of thousands washed up here. Boy, I don't think you'll make much of a difference." Boy looked at him, picked up another, tossed it into the ocean. He smiled. He said it made a difference to that one. Look, I really don't have a side here. I know that sounds like I'm just sitting on the fence. I stand for the anthem out of respect for the people who have fought for this country, which includes my late grandfather, others in my family. But I do believe the ones who are kneeling for the anthem, they're not doing so to protest the ones who defend and protect our land. It's about awareness. It's about being aware of the many shot and killed unjustly in this country. And I'm not just talking about police officers. I'm talking about tragedies like the Orlando shooting. Will it make a difference to them? Perhaps not. But having to address this recurring problem could bring about change to prevent another senseless loss of life. 100.1 FM, ESPN, Fayetteville.com. Jamal now.
Jump on. Jump on.
Anybody else?
Well, this whole issue, it's funny how the ECU community reacted to it. And lost to that was the fact that the previous week it happened in Chapel Hill. The same day it happened in Raleigh. Where's the outrage? Where's the calls to stop donating to the band? It struck me as odd, the reaction to the fact that the band took a knee and you're throwing stuff at 18 to 21-year-old kids from the bleachers. And I'm not talking about insults and physically throwing items. You're booing the halftime show. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that ECU stunk up the joint against Central Florida.
Yeah.
It's amazing how lost in this is the fact that Scotty Montgomery's got his hands full with Pirate football. They all of a sudden want to forget about the game that was played. Because I heard every ECU person I know that was at that game asked, "Hey, did they play a football game?" Because sure, nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
So I've been having to bite my tongue and keep my fingers off the keyboard about this whole issue with regards to national anthem. And unfortunately, it's hard to do that because what these kids are doing or what kids were doing 50 years ago, 60 years ago, at the height of the civil rights movement. They were doing this in college campuses, and they're arguing over the same stuff we were arguing over back then. That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah.
But Pirate fans, y'all got more important things to be worried about than a couple of band members taking right now.
Yeah. And you worry, if you're East Carolina, you're worried about that chip on your shoulder because the other in-state schools get all the love. Well, kind of showed your tail on Saturday.
Yeah. If you're that 50-plus-year-old dude with your purple and gold on, and you're throwing stuff at an 18 to 21-year-old kid, whether they're wearing a football uniform and a helmet, or whether they're wearing a band uniform, come on now.
Yeah. And this guy just he represents a segment of the population that doesn't want to think anything like this exists. There's no protests in the early morning hours, like silently somewhere. That's not a protest.
Let me also put in the fact that this guy lives in Pennsylvania. Probably set foot maybe once when he bought the station in Fayetteville. I've never been there since. You know, and I have not had a chance to listen to the full conversation he had earlier this week with the guys at 999 The Fan in Raleigh. Felt like it was a pretty decent conversation, and it did actually, you know, but it sure was like a publicity stunt. And being, you know, lifelong member of the radio business, I can tell you the firsthand publicity stunt. You don't do this for a publicity stunt because of the backlash on it. I am honestly shocked that IMG hasn't already pulled their contract. IMG is the distributor for East Carolina's football and basketball radio broadcast. I am surprised they haven't pulled the contract entirely and found another affiliate, because I'm sure there probably is one more than willing to step in and get a little publicity out of that to take the contract for the rest of the year, not only for football but basketball as well.
And you have to keep in mind, this was not the entire band. It really wasn't. It was about 6 or 7, if I remember correctly, members.
Yeah, and then you had band members who actually held American flags, who actually were doing the opposite thing on the opposite side of the formation of the national anthem. But you're going to boo the entire band. You're going to throw stuff at them. I don't get how that makes you any. It's just completely mind-boggling, the behavior of some people.
I mean, it almost harks back to Kent State. I know I'm maybe taking it a few steps, but just the type of anger. I mean, you get where I'm coming from? Like, I hate to even make that comparison, because you just made the point of, we're talking about the same things 50 years later. Well, that was part of it. And obviously part of a song, Neil Young, For Dead in Ohio.
Yes.
It's just mind boggling. It's like, how this is not supposed to happen. It's just not. I mean, my dad's always told me, when the older you get, the more things are just not going to surprise you. But you might get blindsided once in a while. Maybe that's it. And Malcolm, you brought up a point we were talking a few hours earlier. Beware of ESPN pulling the affiliation. That's a possibility.
Absolutely. I don't think it's an owned and operated ESPN station. I mean, if ESPN, you know, got a lot of rights with a lot of athletic sports, I don't know, do you want your brand to be attached to, you know, the CEO making these sort of comments?
Right. And if ESPN...
Well, let me throw in there that that there's no such thing as bad publicity, especially when it comes to the Disney company. They seem to let ESPN have its own way. They don't quite meddle like they do and do the things that they do with some of their other properties or their works. They let ESPN kind of play itself out. I can tell you in Bristol, they're not that disappointed with this. It only gives them a little bit more, one-upsmanship on the others, whether it's Fox, whether it's CBS and NBC with the sports network, to kind of, try and chip away at ESPN's domination of the market share when it comes to that. But they weren't that upset by it.
Imagine if they did lose it. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, your McDonald's turns into a McDowell's.
Sure, when you switch from ESPN to one of the others, yeah, that's what you get.
We're having a good time as always. This is the 8th episode of the 3rd season, by the way. We're just rolling on along with this season, no matter if games are Wednesday at 1 p.m. or the honorary Layden's versus Westover Country Store matchup. It's a Country Store championship, by the way. I don't know if I made that perfectly clear. Both those teams have done very well to get to this point in Country Store goodness. But we'll get to some Twitter shouts here.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
One of our favorites, David Brooks, a big Edenton supporter. He's at Blue Devil 97. He tweeted this: "I don't say this lightly. Hertford County team showing no class and terrible sportsmanship tonight." We're talking about a pastor, Edenton Baptist, putting it out there. This was Edenton, Hertford County on Monday night. Not good if you're the Bears. And really, that was a tight game first half.
Yeah, it was close. It's just they just couldn't get it rolling. Kyrie Perry, he came back, and this was his first game back this year, and just kind of out of sync offensively, terms of throwing the football, and they had their opportunities. Edenton was certainly giving them chances with fumbles, but that second half, Edenton came out and really took it to them.
Also learned not to play biblical humor with the pastor.
Okay.
When he had written me on Twitter about the storm, is it going to move things around? And I said, most likely. I said, well, it is Hurricane Matthew. It's one of the apostles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just glad it's not Judas.
Yeah.
Okay. Done here. I'm done. I don't know why I tried to throw my hat into this ring, and
yes,
you stomped on it.
Yes. Very nice.
Gave it back to me, all wrinkled up. Well, we encourage all of you to tweet about NENC Sports, and yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. Now we got predictions.
NENC Picks of the Week.
Of games that are going on
right now.
Right now, except for ECSU. That's been moved to Friday, though. It's not Saturday, Friday. Why don't we start with that? ECSU, we don't start with college first. Elizabeth City State at Virginia State. This starts the Northern Division schedule for the Vikings. Got that win at home, first home game of the year against Shaw. Win's a win, 28-21, a little disjointed, but did what you had to do. At Virginia State is going to be, now this being on Friday night, that doesn't make it any easier, because probably this means ECSU will just drive up that day. It was going to be a 2 p.m. kick on Saturday, which made it possible they might have stayed in a hotel overnight. So it's going to make it harder for the road team. And Virginia State has been probably more consistently the best team in the North past few years. Doesn't mean they've won the division each time, but I got to give it Virginia State.
I'm going to have to give it to Virginia State. They're clicking in terms of their running game. Only loss, I believe, is to Winston-Salem, and last week they just went right through Livingstone. It's going to be interesting to see how this Viking offense, in terms of, pass first, how they're going to be able to move the football down the field and have some consistency and get some stops on defense. But like you said, Virginia State's been one of the stalwarts in the North Division. I'm going to have to go with the Trojans.
Sam?
I'm going to have to side with the home team on this one. I think the schedule change benefits them, and frankly, it still seems to be their division.
Yeah. Camden at Northeastern JV varsity. Sorry, reading this wrong. Poor Camden. I can't express that enough. Coach Scott Jones back after retiring for a couple years, and it's just been injuries and just adapting to the option that they've had trouble with. It fumbles, penalties. It's just been really difficult. And this is just incredibly horrible timing.
Yeah.
To have to play Northeastern. Usually this game would have been in early September, but that got moved because of another storm. Mm-hmm. So this would be a week both teams could rest, and Camden needs the rest because of Brandon Underwood.
Right.
Maybe not available. I mean, it's Northeastern.
I have to go Northeastern.
What you got, Sam?
We'll go with, let's see, under 2 hours for for this game to be over with. Whoever's covering this game, you get the benefit of possibly being out of there by 9:45 with your post game interview.
Oh, Sam, I hate to interrupt you. We're getting a live feed now from Malcolm. Malcolm, you're at the game. What is the score?
45-4.
4.
We get
two safeties?
Yes. 2 safeties. I was going to say a field goal, and then you get 2 points for it. You get 2 points for a block.
It is safety.
2 safety.
We kid.
This has been the year of the safety in college football.
Yes,
so
it
why
has.
not trickle it down to high school football?
Well, actually, just UNC football, really.
Well,
Was Florida State the first time it didn't have? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I bring up Florida State?
Oh, wait a minute.
Did I bring up Florida State?
What's your record against Florida State?
1-0 this year.
3-15.
We just talking about this year, Hoss. Talking about 54-yard field goals. What we talking about?
What's your record in the national championship in basketball?
Well, that's not bad, actually.
This year.
Well, I mean, you went back to now. See, you can't just cue it back to the 1 year and go back to the. Look at this. This guy's trying to just shift his narratives here. We can't do that. I mean, it was Carolina got there, and that was great. I mean, that's really all I got to know. What matters? Just getting there.
I won't bring up the last Carolina-Florida State basketball game I was at. So I won't even bring that up.
Look, Florida State did a great job in the collegeinsider.com tournament. First round. I'm sure it was a magnificent job against Bryant.
Yeah, we appreciate that ACC championship in 2012.
We gave it to you.
Yeah.
Gave it to you. So they need to have it.
I think Duke hit another 3.
Yeah. Another 3. Let's get back on course here with the high school predictions. Camden, Columbia, Manio.
Manio.
Yeah.
Manio.
Yeah. First Flight at Pasquotank. I've seen First Flight play twice. Obviously having trouble stopping the run. And Pasquotank's got at least one guy, for sure, that can run. And Avion James, too. You can't forget quarterback Avion James. And it's a matter of the run. Mm-hmm. I can't think of much else other than that. This is a different Pasquotank team from last year who went to Cuddle Hills like on a Saturday afternoon and played more crazy weather even last year. Not hurricane reasonings, but I think Pasquotank is better equipped to take on First Flight, especially at home. You got to go with the Panthers.
Yeah, you got to go with Pasquotank. They're rolling right now.
That's going to be a Pasquotank. Pasquotank will run their way and put themselves in position to lock up a playoff berth with that win.
I think right now that and you made a point about the playoffs being different this year. If you're a conference champion, you know you're in. Everyone else, it's like putting it in a hat and drawing. But right now, with 5 victories, looks okay. 6 victories looks real good. It just does. Now, it will probably put you on the road if you lose out. Mm-hmm. But when you, like we just said, First Flight, Hertford County, have to play Bertie. That should be another win. Mm-hmm. Look what we got here. 8 wins for Pasquotank, the Panthers. Mm-hmm. 8 wins. Yeah. Boy, the tide is turning.
Absolutely.
Look at the north side of the county. Don't forget them Panthers. Yep. Edenton at Currituck. Before you say just Edenton and end the discussion real quick, we got to have some discussion on this because Edenton just played Monday, now having to play Thursday. That's got to factor in to some degree. If you're Currituck, you need that. You need that intangible. You've had so much go against you during this losing streak. For gosh sakes, the boys in Barco need this. All right, we're playing perhaps the best team on our schedule, and they're coming in just 2 or 3 days fresh. Probably are overlooking Currituck. They're thinking about Northeastern. Come on, you tell the kids you're playing Currituck. You've beaten them 4 or 5 years in a row, and it's even though last year was a tight game, 16-13, typically hasn't been close. They're looking ahead to Northeastern. But can Currituck capitalize on that? Can they get a turnover or 2 early to frustrate Edenton? When you play an option attack, I think that they're more prone to some turnovers with those pitches. Mm-hmm. I think if Currituck can do that, they could be in this thing. Work with me here. Follow me. Into the 4th quarter. I'm giving it to Edenton. They'll find a way. They'll just get through this. Probably win by 10 or 15. This game is closer than the experts think. And I guess, again, we're supposed to be the experts. But there you go.
I kind of piggyback off what you said, getting those breaks early on. I mean, Currituck had 2 golden opportunities early on against Pasquotank last week, and they weren't able to cash in, and you kind of got to think down the line that probably caught up with them. Again, with short rest, it's going to be paramount that Currituck does cash in on their opportunities. It's going to be interesting to see Curry Tuck's passing game against Edenton's defense. No one's really tested the Edenton defense in the passing game. So if Ryan Edwards and Isaiah McCarroll can hit some big pass plays like they did last week, Curry Tuck can keep it close. But again, Edenton, even when they had short rests against Pascal Tank, no holds barred, they went out and handled business, and you got to expect the Aces to do it.
But this is shorter rest.
Yeah.
And one thing, if there's been a slight knock on Edenton the past few years, it's probably been the secondary.
Right.
I think Isaiah McCarroll has to have a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Edwards can get it to him.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to exploit the passing game. They're going to have to use that passing game as much as possible, because I don't think they'll get much of anything on the ground.
No, not much. With all that said, I'm about to go with the Aces.
Okay, Sam.
Throw in the homecoming aspect of this game too. That always plays a factor. But unfortunately, realistically, it's Edenton. But if Curry Tuck can get the passing game working, and they've had it. It's similar situation now. You see a lot of quick drops, right in the grass. Penalties, got to eliminate all these dumb penalties. These late hits out of bounds and downfield, personal fouls, things like that, have got to be eliminated for Curry Tuck to have a chance. Take a couple of turnovers early, get a couple of scores up early, get the crowd really into it. It's going to be there because it's homecoming. They got a shot, and everything's going to fall into place just right.
Yeah, no room for error when it comes to Curry Tuck. There's some room for error for Edenton. Just like Northeastern, there's plenty of room for error in their game, because Northeastern gets its tune-up, really. They get to really get J.R. Walker adjusted. And we said last week J.R. Walker probably just throwing short 4 or 5 yard passes, slot receivers, let them do things. He actually did air it out a few times with success at first flight, which I thought was a very good sign if you're a Northeastern fan. Here's a guy that's just basically put in there. Now, he did get some time at quarterback, of course, with DeMar Sutton before Sutton got hurt, so he wasn't brand new. But that was very promising, and I think with Camden, he'll get a chance to do some of that again. Of course, if he's passing, it'll probably be early, because once they get a big lead, there's no need to do that and try to prolong things. And that would be like karma getting you. Someone gets hurt from your team in a game that was already in hand. So you definitely you never want injuries to begin with, but certainly not in those situations. Well, high school roundup of volleyball. Cannon, Perquimans. God, I hate I'm missing this. Really do. All this football now, like there's so much going on right now as we're speaking. It's amazing just to get everything in before the weekend and this Hurricane Matthew stuff. This rivalry lit no matter the location, but it's in Hertford, so it's like added lit because they bring in boats and crazy stuff. Can Camden win back-to-back undefeated Coastal 10 championships? They will if they beat Perquimans. It's tough playing at Perquimans with volleyball because, again, they got a student section that gets real rowdy. Casey Copley is just like the spark plug for this Perquimans volleyball team. They beat Northeastern in 5 sets Saturday. Showed a lot of heart doing that. Won the first 2 sets, lost the last 2. Everything was going Northeastern's way, but once again, it was Casey Copley saying, I'm going to take you home. And she did. Macy Keaton did her part, though, for Northeastern, 20 kills, 10 blocks. She's definitely got all area consideration once again. Of course, volleyball, when you talk about the best team in the area, and then we can talk about Curry Tuck. Because I think Curry Tuck's still on a level, just 1 or 2 levels really above anybody else. I know they dropped the set to First Flight. They got to play First Flight. Actually, that's already happened, and I don't have a score from it. These friggin' schedules driving me up. They just drive me up a wall. But Curry Tuck seems to be on its way to back-to-back conference championships. Cameron Johnson, Coach Jennifer Hopkins and company. In soccer, First Flight beat Northeastern 2-0. Curry Tuck beat Northeastern 4-0. Surprising after I saw Northeastern play First Flight and really hang with the Nighthawks. It was tied at half. First Flight gets their first goal off a free kick. Really beautiful. And that was pretty well it, because Northeastern just wasn't getting even looks at goal. Cape Hatters beat Camden. Yes, Cape Hatters beat Camden. Soccer. This might be the first time Hatteras has beaten Camden in anything since the Coastal 10 started. Yeah, I'm trying to remember a sport where maybe Hatteras beat Camden in something, and I'm having a hard time. Wow. Since the Coastal 10 got formed 4 years ago, maybe girls basketball?
Maybe.
That would be my best guess. It's hard to say, but Cape Hatteras soccer getting that win. Jerry Roselle coaches that team. I used to cover him when he played soccer and basketball at Cape Hatteras. Was a great athlete. He was like a Tyler Zeller out there for basketball. That gives you an idea. Just tall, run down the court like a gazelle. He good kid, and it's nice to see he's giving back to this community and coaching down at Hatteras. Girls tennis, Edenton beat First Flight 6-3. That makes it a tie atop the conference standings. Northeastern Coastal, that is. Wins by Ellie Reinhardt, Whitney Cranford, Natalie Gonzalez, and Jessica Copeland paved the way for the Lady Aces. Ugh. And do I hear the sound of slow jams? Yes. Oh, yes. It's time to wrap it up. And as we close, remember to follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports. I'm an ONOBX, Malcolm.
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
And Sam?
At Sam Walker, OBX.
That's for the latest sports updates, and pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We tend to go beyond our radio time, but no worries, especially if you're already listening on YouTube, because, of course, we're on YouTube. Just search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. Any of those will get you right to all the episodes we've had for the third season, all 8 of them. Wow, we're moving right along, I'm telling you. Let's just try to get to a Friday football and just, please, normalcy. We want that. It's important. Sam needs to sleep. Another reason we got to do this. For Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, and Sam Walker, it's the NENC, and don't you see, athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.